Let's get your home loan rate down. We understand how important managing cash flow is for investors. That's why talking to one of our brokers can help you find the best loan options and a better rate. Your Finny loan expert will assess your loan and quickly spot a better option if it's out there. With access to over 70 lenders and a wide range of products, you're sure to get the lowest available rate in the market. Stop worrying about your repayments now and take charge of your financial freedom. Contact a Finny mortgage specialist today on 02 8866 2444 or visit our website at www.finny.com.au.
This is a Momentum Media production.
Welcome to the Smart Property Investment Show, the podcast by investors for investors.
Hello everyone, Grace Ormsby here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Smart Property Investment Show. And it wouldn't be the Smart Property Investment Show without us looking at some of the people who are doing amazing things in the investment space. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome today's guest to the show, Dragan Dimovski. Dragan, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Grace. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe how close we are to the end of the year. It's ridiculous to think that we are just November is nearly done. Yep. December is nearly upon us.
That's right. Big things happening. Interest rates rising.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that one, did we?
I know. It will be interesting to see what does happen in December. There's obviously a bit of commentary going around at the moment. You are the man behind Buyers Agency Australia. What do you think is going to happen, actually? Well, I'm just going to pivot that quickly. What are you expecting from rates in December?
I think one more rise for till before the end of the year, and then we're going to hit a plateau till probably about mid-year, and then I think it's going to start dropping from there.
Okay, not too far off then, really.
No, not too far off, only because what we're noticing now is, we're noticing the government has pulled back on infrastructure spending. So that was a recent announcement, which means job losses. And once job losses come in, interest rates start falling. But that's not going to happen until next year.
I guess it is very much a watch this space kind of thing. But let's rewind a couple of years, actually, yes. Dragan, because I'm curious. There's been a lot of talk around what the RBA was going to do and the fact that they didn't think that rates would rise until late 2023, 2024, possibly even 2025. At the peak of COVID, we're talking, March 2020 kind of forecasts. Were you ever dubious of what their decisions would be down the track?
I actually thought with everything that's going on, it was actually going to stabilize. Look, a lot of us, including myself, did not expect another rise, but it had to happen. Spending was high, and that being said, they had to put up the interest rate because of it.
Well and truly, I fully accept I've put you on the spot here because this is not what we were going to talk about today.
No.
And what we're going to be talking about today, your own property investment journey, which I know you have talked about before on the Smart Property Investment Show. But for those who maybe haven't listened to that episode, can I get you to give a quick 1 to 2 minute rundown of how you got your start in not only property investing, but then moving into the buyer's agency space yourself?
Yeah, sure. So at an early age, in my 20s, I started a photography studio. From that, I started making good money in my early 20s. From there, I had one of the guys who I was leasing the property from in the same building. He was a really well-off property investor, driving Ferraris, Lamborghinis and all that sort of stuff. And approached him and got a bit of assistance from him. It was beginning stages, and the information I got from him, of course, he was a very busy person, so there was only limited information he could give me. From there, I started investing at about the age of 23, started buying new apartments, what have you. And at that time, I was about 50K negative. So I learned the hard way. So for the first, 5 years, did the mistakes, and then from there, I had a reading books, seminars, and what have you. Also talking to family members who were investors and builders, and got into investing in properties that were positive geared and no apartments this time. That was the standalone homes, 3 or 4 bedrooms were the optimal investments to get into.
Isn't it crazy that one person planted a seed and changed your life that drastically? Because since then, you've obviously, I'm guessing that the photography studio isn't a thing anymore. You pivoted completely into the property space.
Yep. So, that studio lasted for about 13 years, sold it off, moved over to Dubai, did some purchasing off plan. Again, another mistake.
You live and you learn.
You live and you learn. So, look, I had a couple of friends over there. They'd been there at that time for about 10 years and they were doing extremely well. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to go over there and learn from the best. And unfortunately, look, I didn't lose. I made some money, but not as expected. So luckily for me, I had some backup with having my investments to cover myself and the family as I was living there for a few years. And after that, sold them off, made some money, came back to Australia and
what
continued
year was
on.
That?
2012 to 2015.
And it's obviously been a pretty interesting, I shouldn't laugh, but pretty interesting property market since then.
Yeah, definitely.
Since then, 2015 onwards, we've seen, just so much upheaval across Australia. We've seen that the Royal Commission into banking, we've seen, changes to the levers being put in place by governments. We've seen a pandemic. We've seen all these things happening. Could you have foreseen any, what position are you in now compared to what you were when you came back in 2015? And how have you kind of, I guess, approached the whole investing thing?
Yeah. So when I came back, obviously there was a bit of a pause. I was deciding in what field I'd be getting myself into. And funny enough, my mother-in-law came about and she said, well, look, you look confused on what you're going to do next. Why don't you just stick to property? You love doing property. And I thought, I don't want to really sell property, go out there and, do open homes and do auctions on the weekends. I've got a young family. So, and someone actually turned around and said, well, why don't you become a buyer's agent? You obviously, that's what you're best at investing. So why don't you be a buyer's agent for investment properties? And I said, is that a thing? And looked into it. And then, within a year, did a course and got my license, went off to work for a couple of buyer's agents, looked into what they did and went out on my own.
There you go.
Interesting market that time as well. So there was a bit of a pause for a couple of years of investing, I would say for about 3 years. And then, got straight back into it, bought a block of land. It was 200K under market value down south. Built something on and a few others from there. So, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to unpack more of this story on the other side of a break. We'll be back with more from Dragan Dimovski. Welcome back to this episode of the Smart Property Investment Show. We are chatting with Dragan Dimovski, the man behind Buyers Agency Australia. And just before the break, Dragan, you were talking about going out on your own and doing the buyer's agency thing. How daunting was that?
Look, it wasn't that bad, only because I have experience with contacting a lot of agents. I already networked before I even, picked up the phone and working as a buyer's agent. I knew my areas. I, knew what to look for. So I was pretty confident, to say the least. And what clients, especially clients, in Sydney, Melbourne, you'd be surprised on how many people actually think they cannot purchase a property that's positively or neutrally geared or find a particular strategy where, it's a dual occupancy where you're purchasing a property for $600-700K and it brings back $800 to $1,000 rent per week. So it amazed me when, I sit down and talk to these clients, say this, here are some of the case studies. This is the style of properties we can get you. And they're like, oh, wow, really? We can get that type of return in a growth area? Yes.
What are then those conversations? Who are the kind of clients that are coming to you? Are they just do they know what they want? Do they have no idea what they want? Do they have a plan? Don't they have a plan?
Oh, it's a mix of all. You get some people that know exactly what they want. They've got a budget in mind. They've got a rental yield in mind and a particular growth. Then you've got the other extreme who just come and say, hey, you know what? I've got 600K. What can you do with it? So what do you recommend? So obviously we help both.
Yeah. I mean, not trying to maybe put down or scare people away, but what is an ideal client for you? What are the best kinds of clients that come up to you and what is their situation?
It's a interesting question and a good one. So I actually like both. I like both clients, as I mentioned, the one that comes and knows exactly what they want. And I like, the younger client or clients that are buying their first investment property and they need my help, and I can, lay out a strategy for them from property 1 to property 2, 3, and onwards from there. And it's, you get that satisfaction when you purchase their first property and then the second and their third after that. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling to have repeat clientele when they're coming back for more and more and more. And I mean, that really is what I've sort of seen on the Smart Property Investment Show. People just get addicted, don't they?
Yeah, well, look, once they get that first property, and look, there's always that part of the property investment journey when they hit that third property and they see that all 3 properties have, within about a couple of years have had that growth. And then they say, wow, okay, so I'm making money while I sleep. And it's, every year it's a decent amount. And then from there, they can move into the next one much quicker.
Are you still actively investing, Dragan?
I am, yes. Yep.
And is there anything you can share with us about your own investment journey at this point?
I can. I mean, look, I'm bigger on rooming at the moment. So what that means is purchasing 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes. And I spoke about this with Phil on the last podcast that we did, where you're actually picking up properties that have a 9% return. You
It's
pick
enticing.
up a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. As I said, 600, 650K, including furnishing. And, you're getting 900 or 1,000 or 1,100 rent return per week.
It's pretty crazy too that you can be doing this yourself and then just offer those kind of opportunities to your clients too. Does it feel weird to be able to be in that position?
You mean doing it for myself and the clients? Yeah. I mean, look, what I do for my clients is something that I have done and known works. I would do it myself first before I actually introduce it to my clients.
Yeah.
Obviously. So, so I know that works. And so far, this is the best strategy.
Wow. I mean, everyone should go check out that episode. It was not that long ago, was it, Dragan, that you did that show with?
I think it was about 2 months ago.
I'm going to look it up right now so I can tell everyone before we go into this next break.
And I wasn't so nervous either when on that show because I was prepared more.
It's all good. I mean, one of the things that I'm curious about too, Dragan, we mentioned it from the outset of this episode that we're nearly at December 2023. Spring selling season has been going and going pretty well, but obviously there's still been very much a lack of supply among many areas across the country. But what are the kinds of conversations that you're actually having with clients right now? Like, are people, parking the brakes on to pick up again in 2024? Is anyone still really looking? What's business looking like for you?
Look, I've still got a handful of clients that obviously do want to purchase before Christmas, which is great. And I'll come back to why. Then I have a few people that I have been chatting to that want to just hold off until the new year. But going back to what I was saying before, to the first clients, that right now there's a little pocket of opportunity, and there always is at the end of the year, that people do want to sell their property before Christmas and have that sort of out of the way. So this is where deals can actually start coming in, just on Monday. So right now it's Thursday. On Monday, we just made a deal, a place in Brisbane. Oh, sorry, just outside of Brisbane. It was a valuation of about 720K. We picked it up for about 633, just to get, off market as well.
Wow.
But the condition was they wanted it settled before Christmas.
Which I guess is still possible now, especially if it's being accelerated.
Definitely.
How many deals are really out there like that? Or is that,
Look, it is a little harder now just because of the stocks are low.
Yeah.
So the agents know they can get a premium for their clients, but they're still there. I'm picking one up at least once a week.
Food for thought there for our listeners, anyone that's still in the market for 2024, because then what really happens from here on out, Dragan, we've obviously still got 4 weeks left of the year. But does it really go off a cliff sort of from next week, say?
Look, from
December?
I would say from the first, definitely from the first week of December, it starts definitely slowing down. Yeah.
And then what are you expecting, I guess, from January, February next year?
What am I expecting? Good question. I think a lot more coming onto the market, especially if we have another interest rate rise.
And that, I guess, ties back in with what you were saying about recession, job losses, and all of the like from next year onwards.
Exactly. Well, I'm not too sure about a recession, but definitely job losses, which will then, have an impact on the interest rates. And then we should be seeing the interest rates starting to slightly fall from mid next year.
Are you talking with any clients or potential clients that are worried about what's still to come?
Not really, no.
No?
I wouldn't say worried, only because even before they do become clients, I show them, just like what I mentioned before, that strategy of, what they can do with a particular property that we purchase. We can get those higher interest rates that will cover the mortgage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So educated and informed, not worried.
Yeah. Educated and informed. That's right.
Good to know. And especially at this point of the year, it really is sort of a good time for people to be, I guess, educating themselves, taking the time to work out or maybe iron out some of the kinks in their strategy or plan moving forwards.
Yeah. Look, and here's the thing, and, we're talking about these type of strategies. And I mean, your listeners can actually jump online to my website and actually go to the case study section and actually see quite a few examples of recent sales.
There you go. One easy way to be better informed there, Dragan.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've just actually pulled up the last episode you did with Phil, which I think is probably worth a listen for everyone out there who hasn't already heard it. Thinking outside the box, unconventional investing strategies. We released that podcast on the 2nd of October. So just last month. But it'll almost be 2 months by the time December rolls around. I want to hear what's coming next for you, Dragan, just after a break. Stick around, everyone. Welcome back to this very special episode of the Smart Property Investment Show. I am joined by Dragan Dimovski, the man behind Buyers Agency Australia. And Dragan, it's been great to chat with you today, especially I think just in that run-up. People need to sort of start pivoting, thinking ahead. We're getting to the end of 2023. 2024 is coming. It will be interesting to see. None of us can tell the future, unfortunately, as much as we would love to be able to. We can only make educated guesses and sort of crystal ball gaze. So take everything with a grain of salt. But Dragan, it's obviously been a pretty busy period for you. Looking back on 2023, what would you describe it as?
Wow. Interesting times. I don't know how to answer that question. Sorry.
No, I love the facial expressions you just gave me. I feel like if I could capture that and put that in a podcast, it was a very wry shake of the head. But you've been busy, right?
I've been busy. There's been, it's been a busy period and an interesting one, of course, unexpected interest rates and uncertainty in the property market. I mean, look, it's been stable. It's been busy for me, so I can't complain. But I think 2024 is going to be even more interesting to see what's going to happen.
I guess it's also interesting in that not only are you holding the hands of your clients through what has been an interesting period, you're navigating them with your own portfolio as well, which I think would give people a lot of peace of mind. Like if they're going through the trenches, you're going through them as well.
Exactly.
Is that what it feels like?
It does. It does. And look, every client that I bring on is, very personal. I won't sell them something that, it's funny, a lot of my clients know what I tell them. I won't sell you anything if I won't purchase that for my kids.
Oh, that's a good test.
Yeah.
That's a good little pub test.
And look, and on occasion, you do get that temptation. Oh, look, I can just pass this on and get it. And then it's like, no.
Not worth it.
It's still a good investment, but it's not great.
Yeah. So what is it then, before I go into sort of what's coming next? I mean, the pub test of would you buy it for your kids is a pretty good indicator to have there.
Yeah.
But are there any other things that, it must pass a test for you? What are some of the green flags that you are looking for when you're looking at these properties?
Sure. I mean, the standard stuff is low vacancy rate, a history of low vacancy rate. So that doesn't mean it's a low vacancy rate in the last year or two and it hasn't been in the last 5. I look at the history within at least 8 years. Growth, it has to be very close to a CBD, close to a train station, university, at least 45 minutes from the major airports. Infrastructure, how much is the government spending in that particular area, which will determine job growth, then population growth, which then will increase the price of the property plus rent. The house that we are looking at, as we all know, standalone homes outperform apartments and townhouses. So I only purchase standalone 3 or 4, 5-bedroom homes sometimes. The other question is, which I guess I specialize in, can we, on hard times, interest rates, if they keep on rising, can we make this particular property into a rooming house that will bring in the extra rental yield, which will cover the mortgage? Then later on, when the interest rates go down, you've got that option to actually, just to keep a single family in there if you wish.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
No, I imagine
they love that return.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that in itself would bring up a lot of other questions, I'm guessing, but they are all talked about in that previous episode that you recorded with Phil. Go check it out if you haven't already. Thinking Outside the Box, Unconventional Investing Strategies, which was released on the 2nd of October, 2023.
Yep.
Some cool stuff there. Can I be as bold as to ask you don't have to go into specifics here, but the kinds of areas where you do look, the places that you do think are worthwhile investments? Go as broad or as narrow as you wish. As in
the suburbs?
Suburbs, regions,
Sure.
locales.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Brisbane, there's obviously a couple of councils within Brisbane that I do focus in, one particular being Moreton Bay, but not all suburbs in Moreton Bay. If they're looking for that land subdivision, Logan, again, not all suburbs in Logan. I do favour a couple of suburbs in Ipswich and a few in Toowoomba. So this is with Queensland. There's a few areas in New South Wales, especially up in the North Coast, that there's some interesting things happening at the moment and in the near future, which I'm also investing in soon. But yeah, that's it for now. They can work off that.
I mean, it was worth trying. I got a little bit of insight there, Dragan.
Yeah.
Been so cool to talk to you today. I believe 2024 is going to be even busier for you. Based on previous conversations that we've had. What can people expect from yourself and Buyers Agency Australia over the coming 12 months? Well,
we are introducing a new arm of the business, and that is people who want to invest, but they've got a bad credit score. So we have somebody now that's starting within the business that is a gun at wiping out people's bad credits.
Ooh.
So people with below average scores getting up to higher than above average ratings. So from there, I had a few clients or potential clients that came in through 2023 saying, "Hey, look, I'd love to invest, but my credit score is pretty low." And then obviously we just said, "Oh, sorry, come back to us later." So now we will have a division where we could say, "Hey, yep, come on board. Let's clear out your credit score." And our success rate is about 93%.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
How many people then are coming to you with that request of, we want to buy, but our credit score as it stands doesn't work? I imagine that there are a lot of people out there that are in that very boat.
Yeah. So look, we'll probably get one every second month. And obviously back then we had to just knock them back. So, but as of now, we don't have to knock them back.
Very cool. So lots going on then.
Yeah, definitely.
And there are opportunities out there for people who maybe didn't think that they were the right candidate. Is that the right way to say it?
Pretty much. There's probably listeners out there that think, I'd love to invest, but my credit score is below average.
So how can they reach out if they do have an interest in pursuing this? Yeah,
so just you could jump on our website, www.buyersagencyaustralia.com.au, and just enter your details in the contact section or call us and go from there.
Well, I feel like you're going to have a few inquiries after this, Dragan. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know we got you on pretty short notice, so very, very much appreciate the time. And
thank you.
I mean, best of luck with that arm of the business and everything that's going to be going on in 2024. Already looking forward to our next chat.
Thank you very much. Thanks
to everyone who is listening along, we hope you have enjoyed this episode. Like or review us on whatever platform that you do listen to podcasts on. Check us out on our website. Subscribe to our newsletter if you have not already, www.smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. And as always, any questions, editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. If you or anyone you know are in the property investment game, reach out. We want to hear from you. We'd love to showcase your story on the show. You can just reach out at that email address I said before, editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. Until next time, stay safe and well wherever you're listening from. Bye-bye.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.
Do you need help planning your next event? With over 15 years of experience, Captivate Events is the expert in event planning. Our dedicated team ensures every detail is meticulously handled. Whether it's a gala dinner, exhibition, conference or study tour, we've got you covered. We'll be there every step of the way, from conceptualisation to flawless execution, to ensure your event is a seamless experience, minimising the time and stress involved in planning. Make your next event one to remember. Visit www.captivateevents.com.au or call 02 8866 2440 and find out how we can captivate your audience.